So just a reminder, we'll meet again on Tuesday next week, but then Thursday we won't meet. That'll be next Thursday will be officially. So just to give a date on that, since it's on the recording, today is the 5th. We'll be meeting on the 7th, and then we'll be meeting on the 12th. But then on the 14th, we will and take a day off. Okay. The drawing event will still go. Jim's going to go to the drawing event. And he's going to run it and make sure it all takes place. And he's excited. He's actually going to bring one of our former students, who was my student, too. That Jim and I, her name is Young Sung, and we helped her build up a portfolio. I helped her with environment drawings and stuff. And they liked her drawings so much, she ended up getting a job as a toy designer. And some of you guys that know the brand, the plushie toys that are done locally through KYB, I believe it is. That's the company that she works for and designs the toys for. So that's sort of cool that one of our former students from Gemini has done very well, and she's a very hard worker, and she's a really talented designer, so that's pretty cool. All right, I'm talking a little bit more mellower today because I'm starting to lose my voice. That was happening in my earlier class. And let's go ahead and let me share the work.
Hey Phil.
Yeah.
Hey, did you just download the work? Because I uploaded my work fairly early, but I tweaked it and I just wanted to like upload like a fairly recent
That's
version
right.
of it.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just
sign in anyway, so I got to sign into Photoshop.
okay. Well, I just did that. I did it about 2 minutes ago.
No worries. I'll go get it.
Okay.
Let me double check. Let me update it.
Can you grab another one from my as well? I just upload them.
Mr. Locke. And hold on, I got Locke, Raphael, and anyone. I think Ryan was a minute late. Got those. Let me see anybody else. 6:47. I get it right at 6:50. That should be good. Download those. Okay, those are downloading. Let me sign in. Photoshop. Weird. Photoshop's doing something weird. All right, that's not good. Is it letting me in? Come on, Adobe. Sorry, guys, I've never had this happen. I've never had Photoshop ask me to sign in. But it was doing this with school today, too. I'm going to close it. Guess it worked. All right, one more time. What is this? 1021, sign out there. Sign out there. Oh, gotcha. But that was weird. I see what they're doing. They're only letting me be on 3 machines no matter where I'm at. That makes sense. Okay. All right. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm exhausted and tired and deprived of all sleep.
Hi. Are you so deprived?
Part of it's from yelling at Photoshop at all hours, at every
Yeah, I know.
I mentioned it. I ordered all the parts over the weekend. I got ready to move a bunch of hand-me-down parts from one of my bigger machines into my work setup, and the case is too small for my motherboard, so
So it didn't happen.
no, it didn't happen.
Okay,
So I got to order a new case.
Why don't you just finish this up then when you get a chance, and we'll come back to it,
Am I moving in the right direction though?
Yeah, I think you are. I think the values are a lot better. You made the sign back here a lot lighter. So I notice the back wall drops back away from the characters quite a bit. Um, uh, I sense the light coming through, which is good. Um, and I think there's some highlights. When I look at the character, especially when I look at the values, I can see little highlights in parts of the hair and a little bit on the face. I might still push a little bit of some light hitting on her. Like right here on the back of the hair, there's nothing there. There's a couple highlights up there. I might touch up a little bit of that shadow underneath the steak right here. Let me show you. Let me draw it in. You're really close. You have quite a bit of light coming in there. I'm just tempted little spots. Like if I look under here, you put another layer on it. I might under here punch the shadow a teeny bit more. Let me do it in blue. I might there's going to be light reflecting off right in here. A minute, colors changed. Get a little bit more light in there, get a little bit more shadow under her neck. To me, this is sort of flat all the way across. I would make sure that if that's a little bit of a shadow, you can sense that the light's wrapping over her arm to really create that feel of, it's a round cylinder with fabric wrapped around it. You're going to see the light coming in off of that. I'd get a little bit of maybe a highlight there. I'd punch a little bit of this. Try that again. A little highlight up here, a little bit of a shadow under the snake right there. I might even, just looking at her in general, this should be a little bit more shadow-like here because the light's coming in from this side. It's pretty dominant. So I might blend a little bit of that end. It's a very soft shadow there. You can maybe punch that, and then it's going to delineate. This will be a little bit more ambient down there from the light. I like the gator getting hit right there. Maybe just come in, put a little bit of a crisper shadow down there. I just want to get everything on the girl pretty much. You might even, you see a teeny bit of counter space here. It's going to say it could have a little bit of highlight on it. The problem is you won't see it because it's too light with what's in the back there. It would blend in. So I just sort of leave that alone.
I probably should at least alter the color on that counter though, and just
yeah, you could change it a little bit and see how that looks. And then there is light hitting on these guys here and here. I might just tweak this and see. I mean, to me, that's her focal point. So I don't care as much about those guys. And with that in mind, I might just find a way to maybe get a little bit more of a darker. This is in our foreground, a little bit more of a shadow there. I did notice a little bit of the drop shadow you put on the wall that makes the characters pop out a little bit. So I think you're really
right. You told me
close.
to.
Yeah, no, I noticed that on there. That helps pop him a little bit with that shadow. And then with that light coming in, I might just hit a little bit of just value in the corners here and here, just to keep that a little bit like what you did right there, a little dark to light spread. And there I might hit a little bit of that right here behind this. That way this pulls into the foreground a little bit more, and then everything stays here and, with the biggest area of contrast in there. And the little highlights. I think you could push a couple teeny little highlights on there and see what it looks like,
All right. The thing I wanted to ask is, as I'm getting into later stages of this, I'm noticing that there are a lot of blank spaces, like on the countertop wall right there and the bathroom hallway, where I'm thinking I could add like some scratch marks or something to add textures. That way I break up the monotony of just giant spaces of color without any.
One thing I was thinking of, like when I looked at this, usually walls have divisions in them, or they have signage or something there. So even if that was divided up in space and it was a little bit darker, because remember down here, it's going to be darker coming up. There's no light.
Right.
This is all shadow casting here. So, in fact, this drop shadow you have here might get blended in because if light's coming, your light arrow is coming in like this from behind us, like that. So this counter is going to cast some more shadow out here like this. So that you might be able to get in here and sheet a little bit of that, being a little bit darker down there, and then letting the the dark fade up to there, because then you're gonna have white, you're gonna have light bouncing around and it's gonna come back and hit that edge. Yeah. That's what I'd probably try to mess with a little bit, you know? Good
Right.
job on, and then when you're all done, I like how dull those lights are. You can probably get one or two a little duller and then not, because then you don't have to worry about it pulling from, before they were a little bright and they were competing in there, you know? So here's the catch though, if that light comes into there and hits the floor there, then the other one would be hitting behind, you'd have your light like that. So maybe that is the light and it ends there. I'm just wondering if this did stretch out a little bit, would this be in more shadow here? And then would you have a little bit more dark to anchor down the piece?
I'm not sure if it's really visible, but I have also like an off-screen light ray or two coming in from above. And should I push that more, or should I just focus on
I
just the light
noticed
coming in from the window?
I felt that shadow was maybe from like a secondary light up above. You know, that's what I was thinking. Maybe that was.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. That'd be fine. I sort of sensed that when I looked at it, you know.
It's not really showing up here. It did during the thousands of hours of screaming at my computer while editing it, I guess, so I'll try to do my best to push it out.
Sure. Probably one other thing in there. Hold on. You go back. I wanted to take off the original line too that I put on. That helps me map out, you know, I always do that blue and red thing. I learned that from a friend of mine who's in the industry who just showed me how he always thinks about what he's going to put and where and why, trying to get things to work, you know. I'm gonna try something here. Quick.
Hmm.
So I copied and pasted it, and then I'm going to erase it and try to let it fade back in better, if that makes sense. Because it should be darker right there, and then that'll create more contrast in your visual read. So that's what I was thinking of doing. Let's see where we're at. But then I like some of the light sides of the characters already. So I thought if I can erase it real quick, get that to pop, or just putting a little bit more darker value in there. Get rid of that hard edge, let it blend in. So it just looks a little bit richer. Take some of that off the face of these guys. A little bit. Fade that in. It's just a value that blends in a little bit more. But you see what the value does though? Sort of
Yep.
drops them a little bit more in the foreground. And that other idea that I had, that definitely brings them a little bit closer. These guys are lighter, makes them drop back a little bit more. Actually, let me go back to where I was and try this real quick. There. Give me a minute, let me think. Get this here. Oh, that's going to interfere. Let me see if I can make this a lot richer. Softly going to blend this edge away. Let those little richer values get in there. So that already feels a lot better to me when I darken that back a little bit more, because it keeps this value a little bit more separate. And then I would just wanted to get the corners a little bit more darkened. And I'm just sort of fading in, erasing some of that overspray, that arm shadow in there. Just erase that and fade it over. That. Then made a mistake there. Let me see how I correct it. Oh, I see what I did. I only slide and select behind him well enough. Let me see if I can fix that. No, it's probably not going to fix it. That's okay. Blend it in. I really like how things darkened a little bit there. Then I might come in and put some of those highlights on her. What do you think? See how it was a little washed out? Because when I looked at it first in values, it is darker, but this and like the jacket, the alligator, they get a little washed out in there. And I think if we darken that a little bit, it starts to separate out the jacket a little bit more. And then if you come into this, something in my eye. Yeah, something bugging me. Still think you might be in a place to a couple nice little crisp edges in there. And then we might be too rich. Let me just try it. And then one of the hardest things about this from the initial beginning was her face is turned away from the window, you know? So you have to have these rich little highlights hit part of the top of her, you know?
Mhm.
That's one of the struggles in this because you can't get, you know, you're gonna have the shadow side here and here, and there's gonna be a highlight side on the top there. So it's almost like you look at just the shape and form of that. That hair has to be a little richer. And then you have to have these like little clumps. And they're like that. Same thing here, there's highlights back there. And I know there might be a light behind her, but I'm gonna go ahead and darken that and then we can save that for maybe the end. Did everyone get to vote today?
I voted.
I didn't get to vote, man. Bummed.
I put my ballot in the box in front of the art building, so I'm
Yeah.
secured.
I should have. I just was so darn busy this week with stuff at school, trying to get the funding for the lab aides to go. And I saw the dean a little bit later and got to have a quick meeting with him. And then by the time I got home, then my wife got hung up at work and she was busy. And then
The real question is, are you ready for a year of political ads?
no, I'm not. That's what I don't. Right?
I don't think anybody is, to be honest.
Want to deal with all that. I really don't want to get involved with all that, you know. I always say I wish we had more other candidates, you know, or another party. We should have a moderate party in the middle. Most of 75% of Americans, from what I understand, are moderate and they're swing voters. They go back and forth. So the tough one. You can't be too close to the edge because of it'll blend in with the window. So it has to be like right on that edge, small and tiny, little like. All I know is something needs to change. I go to the store to buy groceries. I used to go to Costco and spend $185 for food for my, you know, wife and kids. And now what was 185 is expensive. It's like 290. Now the same stuff I always would buy, milk and eggs and some spinach and whatnot, you know. I know you guys probably don't have to buy too much groceries or maybe you have help from your parents, but man, this stuff's getting expensive. More than I ever thought would be. Oops, I just, yeah. Hold on. Hit the wrong key by accident. Okay, delete this dang layer. Go away. Oh. My little light layer. Trying to get the lights to bounce around the hair a little bit, you know? Different highlights. Trying to change the thickness of it so they're not all the same stroke. Someone having a beer? Not fair.
What?
Sounded like you're opening a beer.
No. My thing unmuted.
Look at the difference the hair makes already. Do you see that?
Yeah. It's a
Mark, just let it.
staggering leap.
So what I was doing, just to explain it, here, I'll do it right here. I started doing a couple ends at 40 like this. And then as I started getting away, I raised the size of the brush and I lowered it to 20 so it'd be duller. And it would fade. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like the pattern of a highlight transferring over from edges. So I'm trying to get this edge here to be brighter, that's closer to the light. And then I'm also changing the brush thickness, trying to make sure it's not all the same looking highlight, because that's a problem I learned a long time ago. And then letting some of that breathe and open up. It really changes the look of the hair, I think, quite a bit, especially what I was doing in the back. I didn't finish the back part here. You know, you got these little strands that'll get hit in a pattern, and then they'll sort of wrap around. And then you're going to go maybe a teeny bit bigger and darker on a highlight edge or an exposed surface. And even so, and then hold on right here. This is probably a biggie. And I'm also adjusting it to the angle of my wrist. I have to adjust a curve to fit into this, because that's the angle your wrist makes naturally. You can't get other angles in there, you know, when you're digitally drawing. That's what sucks. And then here, that's that other spot I was talking about. You should be able to get a nice, like, wicked little rich highlight right in there. The light's coming down, and then it's going to fade this way. And then after that fades a little bit, I'm going to go back in, drop it a little bit to a 30, go a little bit smaller. Try to get some of these fine little ends getting hit. Just try to build it soft. So I go over one end where it's bright and then let it try to fade off as the light diminishes as it goes around the corner, right? Light's wrapping on a sphere and going around it. So when that light wraps around it, it's delineating, it's losing part of its power. So just let it sort of fade off there. And the only thing I don't like let me just fix it. I made a lot of those the same width. And that was a no-no. You don't want to have the same pattern. So I'm going to go over a couple, pop them out a little bit more. So it feels a little bit different in the pattern. And then, hold on a minute. And then that light's going to hit here a little bit. It'll bounce up and you'll have some of this pop out very lightly in here. I think this is some of those little details you need in your piece. Hold on, let me just do it this way. This might be easier. Sometimes it's easier just to take a little chunk. It's not bad. That's where it gets a nice little crisp shadow on there. That's what I'm going for. Then there are little things like here. Light's coming there. So it's going to hit, you'll have a nice highlight on that. You should have a pretty good size little core shadow building up right here. And you have bless you.
That sounded juicy.
That's a good word. Juicy sneeze.
That's nasty.
I've never felt more self-conscious about sneeze in my life until that status.
You ever sneeze in front of a room of people and something shoots out with it?
No, that's nasty.
Ever?
Phil.
My God. I could tell you the horrors of being Phil, of little things happening.
Wait, actually, that did happen to me. Now I'm embarrassed.
Okay, I was at the gym doing crunches coming up, and all of a sudden I'll come up and like last one, I'm all farted. I was like, and like all these girls are all looking over it. I'm like, oh, oh.
I
guess
remember in
too much
middle
spinach,
school.
you know.
In middle school, I liked this kid, right? And I remember like I was sick and I had put my hand, like I rested my head on my hand, and I think that like clogged up my nose because when I sneezed, it like came like shotting out, and it was so embarrassing.
Yeah. So look at the difference, Mark. Just adding in the shadows, darkening a little bit, getting some highlights in the hair. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Trying to lock in. It's still a little bit dark in there. Some parts that I did. See, I see it being a little, well, I think the darks were in there. I'm just going over with the highlights, trying to pop and around the surface a little bit more. I really do think darkening this helped quite a bit. And I don't know why, I just felt like at the end, I just like this feel of when light comes
But I
in.
need to add highlights to anyone else's hair within the
Yeah, I think you should focus on her right in here. Just where I'm pointing at right here.
right?
On there, maybe the bubble, maybe a teeny bit of the finger of the hand. I am
But just highlights, not full on like subsurface scattering skin.
no, just like a nice little. Problem is, it's already light in the window, so you got to get it down away from the edge just a teeny
Right.
bit there. Um,
I feel like that light is too bright.
yeah,
I mean, because
it's so bright you can't put anything next to it. You know.
well, it's making the characters in the foreground look too light. They need to be darker, I think, or you
Yeah.
lighten that so that
Just even this, I'm like still wanting to darken this a little bit more. You know what I mean?
yeah.
To stay focused, there's just not enough contrast happening in it still. Where I just almost want to come in here and be like, get the shadow side of. Of that.
Also, I feel like if you ended the counter, like either after the alligator or like before the alligator, you could have the background light kind of framing the main character.
Wait, say that last part again.
Let me grab my mic.
Hold on 1 second. There's a family argument going on. That's
Like right now, the counter is really long and she's behind a, like she's just kind of, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. I think just making the counter end like either before the gator or after the gator. That way the light on the floor in the background could be, and the window itself could be used more to frame the main character.
In some weird way, that's like a huge redraw, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
And I'm tempted just to go, screw it, let's just finish it.
I think if it's possible, lightening the back window. Or I mean darkening. It's too
black window
bright.
a little bit, yeah.
It's too
Right.
washed out.
See if we get in there. Because that's a really good suggestion, because I kept thinking if it did change a little bit, it's going to allow you to get the little highlights in there a little bit easier. Oops, I knew that was wrong. I was on the wrong layer. Do you have the signage separate?
yeah. I have the window and
So
bunch of separate
I'm
layers.
darkening that a little bit, and I sort of like that. I feel like it makes the characters pop a little bit more, but then I dull down the signage on it,
Just dreading
Because look at how
the
bright white. Now you really notice that when you change it a little bit. Look at how
Right.
bright white that is, You could still have it be pane glass and show lights coming through, hitting objects, but I might tweak that. But what I don't like is when I darkened it, it darkened the letters, and I don't like the letters. The letters get too busy, so I would
all
lighten
the
down the
letters are on a
letters.
separate layer too, and I can brighten them up.
Yeah, because now you can see a little bit more of the highlights popping in there a little bit. So why don't you try that, Mark? I mean, already
Right.
looking at what we have here, look at the difference. Got some more shadows in there, a little bit of crispness. Put some of this in the foreground. I still wonder if there's maybe a little too darker values back there, but I think that being a little bit, I think that might work for you. And, one of the hard things with this, there is something to say about having a character in the right place hitting light on them. And
Right.
that side view, it's sort of a cheat because technically her face is in shadow. And that's the hard thing, is we're trying to wrap highlights on the hair and make it look realistic. And you know what I mean? That gets to be pretty difficult with the light source coming that way. So, but it's a good piece. So I'd put a little bit of time into it, see what you come up with.
I'll
And,
see if I can get Photoshop to cooperate.
Okay. Go from there.
It sometimes lags for a solid minute or two on a single brush stroke, and that's
That's a RAM
not
issue
ideal.
usually. Yeah.
Yeah, or just like Google if that's happening, because sometimes it's just like a weird setting that maybe have been turned on. So just like, yeah, I would
I've
suggest.
gone through so many settings now. I don't know.
I mean, I would just suggest Google it and just because I know with Smudge that happens a lot, so I had to Google it and there's like settings that can help it. So I don't know if it's just one of those problems, but might be worth a try.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
All right, thanks. I'll be sure to look over the recordings as I go through and redo it. So you said no class this Thursday or next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
All right.
I'll be here this Thursday.
Thanks again.
My pleasure. All right, start here, Ashley.
Hi, Phil.
How are you?
Good, good, good. I just had a big old sandwich for dinner.
Good. You sound energized.
Yeah.
Versus this morning, you were like, you know.
Yeah.
Remind me what this was. Is this the project? The other, or what
Uh,
are you thinking here?
Yeah, that's like the project that I had in mind, and then I wanted to do the car chase scene with the not the penguin, the duck who turned into an evil person because you know they fed them a bread, and then he did the whole experiment thing. So the car behind that's chasing them is supposed to be the evil duck car.
Okay. I'll give you a suggestion. We'll talk about this a little bit later. If not tonight, I'll have to address it Thursday. We just have
Okay.
so much critiquing to do. Your angle is going to be better if you have something sort of like this,
Okay.
you know, where it's like coming over a hill sort of, and you have buildings sort of something like this, converging back a little bit. And then we need to really get that curve in there to show that distance of
Yeah.
the road. And then we need to, or do it as a straight on shot like this in one point where it's, you know, like this. Coming at us. And I would recommend, here's the hard thing you're going to battle. That thing's huge.
I know I kept having to like
'Cause
reframe it. I was like, oh no.
even if they turned like this and it's tipping up on two wheels, you know, it's going to be, then you'd have to have the other guy coming in, or maybe he's up in the air and his car is like this, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there, you're counter angling it. You're gonna have an angle going this way, and then this angle. Problem is that the Vespa's so tiny. You're gonna have the wheel like this, and you might be able to show like this breaking off. I don't know, that might not be part of the story, but you're gonna need more room to stage it. It's too flat here.
Mm-hmm.
This is looking better, but the characters are so small. We need to try to get them maybe a little closer to us.
Okay.
And my concern is this might block the whole thing. You know, what if that came unhooked and we see it, and then we see the kids on the Vespa taking off? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that might, or the girl on the Vespa, that might be another option. Maybe it comes unhooked, type of thing. These paints
Okay.
the paint here is gorgeous. I like it. It's very nice.
I still have to finish it.
I know you're
there's
not done, but it's on the right path. It looks really good. Okay. What
you.
kind of sandwich did you have tonight?
I had a torta with like ham and then jalapenos, and it was so good.
There used to be one place by my house that had the best tortas, and now they're gone. And they
Oh.
moved. Yeah, I need to find a new torta place. So, all right, good job.
And then
You
I
guys
have
got
my
lucky.
color one as well, but that's all the way at the end.
You got to eat. I didn't even get to eat by the time I got home. I took a little nap because my wife got stuck at work, so she made dinner. I'm coming down here to teach, and dinner's still being cooked, so she's finishing. This is a problem back here.
Okay.
I'm just figuring out, we need to like find a way to darken it, get encroaching values, something like that. That's why when I was telling you I had that one idea of maybe cropping it, moving the boy over, was to get rid of some of this extra space back there. Because that value here is pretty light to that. And it looks good. All this looks great. I love that. That's working nice. It's fun. If you got more texture on there, wrapping around this guy for shadow, could be, you know, a nice texture brush, could be really cool in there. I like that when you get like that texture feel wrapped onto something. It just has a great way of working very nicely. I don't have, what is this one? Forget. One of these brushes I had did textures. I don't know if this is it though. Yeah, that's it. See, if you get that nice little feel, oops, got to get the right stroke in there though. Hold on. I love it when there's little textures like that on, because they act like little mini shadows. They help it like breathe up a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know you probably have more to do on this still, but oops.
I have a lot more to do.
Yeah. One of the things I felt like doing immediately when I saw this was just coming in and like darkening this stuff back here. So it's not as, you know. And then just blending it in. Letting it fade and disappear in the back. Some of that, hold on a minute. Used to come even more. Almost needs to come behind her up into this area so it can fade back properly. The values here are just as light as the values up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would, since light's coming in this way, the back of the room might be a little richer, so that keeps your part of your focal area there. There, now if I get in there, eraser, and start to blend that so you can sense it getting darker on the wall. Yeah, 30, 40. Thank you, some of you guys that wrote me that letter. You guys wrote me a paragraph or a sentence or two so that I could send. I saw the dean and I told him what had happened, how I had to walk out of the classroom and leave for 15 minutes to go handle the lab. And I'm like, this is getting to be ridiculous. Nothing's changed, you know? See, if that dulls down a little bit, then it allows you to focus a little bit more up in here. Keep jamming on it because you got shadows on this guy to do. And you also are going to have the shadow, just to point this out, you're going to have the shadow of the guy too. Because look, if that light's coming in at that angle, you're going to have, if I match that angle there parallel to about there, and if you look at where that ground plane is, you're going to probably have a shadow that comes back like this, goes out, that curves like this, and it's not going to end there. No way, it's coming at an angle. So that would sort of be hit there, which means that shadow might come out and wrap back this way.
Only in my dreams it would end there.
And then I might dull this light, it gets really hot right there.
Yeah.
Dull that a teeny bit. Save that for the very end and build up all the lights and darks everywhere else in there, you know?
Okay.
All right.
Thank
looking
you,
good,
Phil.
Ashley. All right. Nice job.
Wait, Phil, what happened to the lab?
We used to get our funding from ACT, which is the IT department on campus. Well, they decided to cut our funding. So we don't have like barely, not even half the amount of money we have for lab aids. So when I'm in teaching my room in the corner room, 1026, that I have to lock the main door and I can't have students in there. Then I have to run over in the morning when the instructor usually arrives late, open the door, let them in. And then when I finish my class, I'm going to another class. I then have to stop and then kick students out of the lab so I can shut it that leave. So it's happening all the time. So like I had to kick students out yesterday morning after the class, or excuse me, today after one class was done, there was no lab aid in there, so I had to boot them out. And then I had to come back. And then the same thing happened Thursday. So I'm having to kick students out of the lab. The reason why this is of importance is we have all these discussions on campus about student success, students doing well, going the extra mile, helping students. So they call it student retention, student success ratios. And one of the things that happened in our school is the success ratios were down. So not as many students were succeeding. They're enrolling, but we want them to succeed. Well, if you pull away a lab from the students and don't give them the chance to work on their projects, that's probably the best way to prevent them from succeeding. And then I'm have my responsibilities to my class, then I'm having to leave, go over and do other stuff because I don't have a lab aid present. So because the school was cheap on the funding. So it's the first year they've sort of done this and they need to correct it, you know.
I gotcha.
I'm getting pissed. And I usually don't get pissed that easy, but I'm at a point where I could file a grievance with the union and go, it's not my job to go run the lab. My job is to teach in the classroom, and the school has to support us doing all this other stuff, you know. Oh my God, you guys are messaging like crazy. I'm scrolling through, I'm still like 21, 18, 17. Anyway, all right. Grace. Hi.
Oh, hi. I had two more pages, but if you want to move on and then get mine later, that's fine too.
Let me just do it now.
All right, no worries.
I just don't want to run out of time. It's already 8, almost. Yeah, 1. So I'm just gonna download all because I don't know which one's which.
Wait, I'm so dumb. I didn't upload mine either. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
You guys are killing me. That's like 6 people tonight. You know?
Bill, I also uploaded a black and white version if you want to grab that. I just yeah, I don't know. I needed help with the values.
Hold
The
on.
first one's on time though.
I gotta redo the upload. Who else? Wait a minute.
I
Viviana,
did mine yesterday and then I was like, oh, I'll upload it tomorrow, and then I totally forgot.
well,
But
get it up there because I don't want to go
okay.
back and download again. I want to do them all at one time. So I'll come back in a minute. Let me go forward. Grace, I'll come back in 1 second. Okay. Otherwise, I'll be running back and forth 3 times. Come back to that. Elizabeth.
Hello.
Look at that separate. The values look pretty good. Values are working. I like that warm light in there. I know I'm pretty happy with it. Do you like it?
Sorry, I'm messing around with my tablet. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah,
It was definitely a struggle and learning curve just trying to get the saturation right.
Well, yes. That's welcome to the world of it's always going to be really hard. Never going to be easy. What we're doing is a hard task, you know, getting this level of work in there, you know. It's going to be difficult. It's not easy whatsoever. I was tempted to make that a little hotter. And we have warms in there. And then let me just mess with.
Bill, I don't know if this is a nitpick, but it's kind of funny to me that the dog behind the boys are kind of leaning so hard.
They're what?
They're like the perspective is. I think it's just like it's to make it flow with the composition, but I find it feels a little bit like the cage is tilted too forward. But that's like probably a nitpick for me.
I know it's, but it's sort of this, the shot
That,
is 3
that's
points.
just stylization, right?
Yeah, and it's a
Okay.
3 point sort of up shot.
Yeah, yeah. No,
We're down looking
thought
up with the
so.
camera. So that we're taking some liberties on those being there.
Yeah,
And if anything, when it gets that low with like a fisheye, I
yeah.
don't want to tell you this, but I've seen it this back here. Uh-oh. Hold on. If you follow that point up there, this could even be more of an angle like that. But I don't want it to be more of an angle, you know?
Okay, no, I think it's great where it's at then.
Yeah. It's like, I'll take it for, I feel like darkening the back of the boys a little bit. You see that?
Yeah, I like that.
Because it creates a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like you could have more shadow like as a core shadow on them because you have two light sources kind of like front to back. So yeah, stuff like that, Phil.
Yeah, I think just even getting this little, what am I touching that one for? My tone's a little bit more blue. And I did have this one little thing in there that sort of minor irked me. Hold on a minute. Wondering. I know this is foreground. See what this would look like if it was darker. You know what I mean? But I like it, the light version. I know it's the inside of a bear, but part of me wanted to flatten it down a little bit. I feel like it was getting too.
I feel like you could have a rim lighting a little bit on the snake's head and like back maybe to kind of um make him more of a focal point.
Rim light where on the
Like the
top?
snakes, yeah. I feel like just like a small, like kind of how the body is. I think that would be because he blends in a little. Like I just feel like it'd help him stand out just a wee bit more.
Yeah. Another thing I was really wanting to do, let me try this other thing. That's a good one. That, because you could have a little highlight there and also running along right there. But then right here, oops. Let me redo that. Right this way instead. I want there to be a little bit more blue under the snake because the snake's warm. There, like that. Get a little bit more blue in there. Mixed in with that sort of red, you're going to get that. Well, not too rich. I just wanted a little bit of a drop shadow under the snake from where the light is. You know what I mean? And I think what Ryan was saying was you would come in, he's saying right up on that corner there, right, Ryan? From that warm light.
Yeah, I mean, even in like all the way to the tip of his nose, I think maybe you could really add dimensionality with it. Like it could fade along his back, or you can just keep it like a rim light on
Yeah,
certain parts to make it read a little bit.
sure. Let me try something else too. Without light on, might even catch a little bit of edge light. Oops, sorry to set my camera away. That's that color in there. Oh, gosh darn it. What did I just do? There it is. Poor bear. Cracks me up every time I just look at it. Just trying to get a little bit more. Like I put a couple lines in there, like if there's an edge, that lights can hit those little edges. That's why I put those little lines in there, like it's a tank sort of. Helps lock it in, keep it being from so bland. I wanted to push this stuff down a little bit darker in the foreground. So it's not as bright, you know. Put the, hold on, we had the shadow here on the boys. So look at the difference. A little richer shadow, darken the corners, keep this, push this down a little bit here. So it's more of like away from the key light. Put a little bit of a shadow under the snake there, a teeny bit to help anchor him down. And still I look at that and I still am like, I want to thin it out. It's a little too thick. Should be a little bit softer. Shouldn't be as hard edged either. There we go. And then last but not least, get a little bit more reflection in there of the glass. It's a little gritty and dirty, you know. I had a brush. Let me remember where it is. I don't know if that's it. Yeah, that might be it. An animal cage, right? I want to make a little bit of grit on there so it doesn't look so nice and polished. Or what do you think?
Yeah, that fixes it.
Well, it just adds a little bit more contrast and grit. So it's just it's not as polished. You get a little bit darker behind the characters. The dogs, you did all the work. The dogs look great. They're really nicely done. This a little bit of highlight on that snake, a little bit more shadow. Tone this area down in the front so it's not so bright. And then I sort of like, I really am a fan of getting like this little texture come in there. It's a cage, you know what I mean? It's going to be a little nasty looking. There's a snake walking around and eating rodents and slapping them against the wall and right and stuff. So I don't know. And then I really like that hot point of the light going across, and just I like the little edges. The light's casting. You know, you could even there's one edge I totally forgot to do, which would be right about um right in here. You have this edge right there. Lights love to hit little edges like that, you know. There might be a lower little edge. Should have made my brush a little smaller, but that's okay. See that it just looks like the edge inside the tank, you know what I mean? Get that in there. Like that. I like it like that. Are you happy with it? I think it looks freaking rad.
Yeah, I'm definitely
looks-
happy with this.
It looks cool. It's just, so all I did was, you know, I darked on the left corner, pushed down this, had a little bit more grit, put that, the light that would be the hottest point would be closer to white. So if light is orange, you have warm light, you know, you just go into your orange right here in your color picker and you're just going to slide that up into right here and get that sort of bright, you know. Gotta admit, I love this color picker because you can pick a color and look at your other variant and it gives you a better idea of what you're doing, you know. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a nice piece. Okay. A friend of mine used to do this. I'm going to show you really quick. I know it sounds insane. He would do this. Whenever his work felt too rich, too smooth and airbrushed, he would take a piece like this. It would come on another layer, and he would do this all the time. It really works. I've seen other artists do this too. Give me a second. That one works pretty good. That's not bad. That's a dust. Dust might be good. Let's do it in a red. When you come back to your piece, Elizabeth, and you take that texture and you put it on the top of your drawing, and then you erase it in a couple little golden areas. Hold on a minute. What it does is it has a way of adding a little bit of texture to everything and a grit type of feel. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've done this before because
Have
the
you?
brush I use is texture brush, so I do it sometimes. But
Okay.
I haven't done though for this one.
Then what you do is you sort of come back then with your eraser at like 10%, and then you erase off the texture off of the key reads, like your animals. Actually, I like the boys getting like, see, it puts that little texture on the side of the glass. You know what I mean? It's quite nice when it does that. You guys ever seen that before?
I remember Jesse Pack would do something kind of similar.
Yeah. It sort of puts little dots and unifies everything together when you're looking at it. Creates slight texture feel. You can erase some areas and blend it. And actually, I love that quite a bit. It gives a nice texture read to the piece itself. And has a way of sort of bringing it all together with a gritty feel to it, you know? Actually like that quite a bit. And there, fade that a little bit.
But Phil, how do I know which color to use when I put down that texture?
Well, that's a good question. In this example, I think the general color of the light is more of an orange to a red transition.
Okay.
So it's a dark cage, and then I already cinched it with the reds in here. So what I did is when I went to this layer here, I just picked a dark red right there. You see it?
Yeah.
Like a burgundy red. Because when I
Okay.
looked at that feel, that burgundy red just sort of matches up here, matches in that family, and then I'm
Oh,
erasing some of it
okay.
off the blue, and then it definitely matches down here. So it gives it a nice gritty feel. And I know other artists that do that all the
I got
time.
it.
They usually don't show you, then I see them do it at the end.
Mm.
And you can even go like this, you can even make the texture even stronger. And then you can even mess with it. Like you could go in here, you can do this. If you hit move and move the texture, and then if you go in and change like the saturation of it, maybe like a blue or green, it could create different effects. But I think that red, see, sometimes you get that polished airbrush feel where it's all smooth. So I really like coming in and just sort of putting a little bit of texture in there, like it's encroaching back in. It makes things feel dirty and a little bit used, you know? And then just doing that, it's pretty cool with that right there. And I just look here as a way of sort of making the glass a little bit more, you know, it's quite nice. I am tempted to erase a little bit off the face of the boy to get that to pop, maybe a little bit off him, maybe the fingers, you know. All right, good job, Elizabeth. Thanks for letting me mess with it. It was a lot of fun. This was sort of the outcome. from there to there, you know? Okay. Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I love it. It's fun. It's so funny. I wish you guys knew. I was telling this to somebody. You get older and you think you're gonna have more time to draw and stuff. And I love teaching. I really do. But then sometimes I miss like being in a studio where I could just sit and draw for 8-10 hours a day. I mean, it'd be so awesome. I'd be so content just listening to music and, you know, just sitting there chilling and, you know, yeah, it's fun. All right. So let me go back and do the download. Oh, wait, let me finish. We had Claire. Claire,
Hey Phil,
that's awesome.
thank you.
I'm loving it. What do you guys think?
Or
It's very
cats.
Cute,
pretty,
Claire.
really nice. I like it. I do have a couple ideas.
Claire is a monster of talent.
Thank you.
She is a monster. Her and Ashley have started a little gang, a gang of artists.
It's the Kia Soul Lovers.
They follow people out. The what do you say? The what?
The Kia Soul Lovers.
Kia
That's
Soul.
actually
Oh my God. Stay away from Kia.
not my Kia Soul.
No, stay away. Look, if you guys are ever gonna buy a car, talk to me. My good buddy and neighbor up the street is a mechanic. And I always get honest feedback from him. Or go online and look up Scotty Klimmer on YouTube. He's what my buddy is. He's an honest mechanic. He'll tell you all the cars that come in, the ones to stay away from, why certain manufacturers use all plastic parts in them.
Plastic in a car.
Are you kidding me?
Yikes.
BMW and Audi, all the little hose connections are plastic. So what that means is they're good for a certain amount of time before they start falling apart. Not the car falls apart or the engine. BMW, do you guys know what BMW comes from?
Germany?
Well, yeah, but they made
BMW.
they made German airplane engines back in the day, and they were some of the best engines ever. They never conked out, they never failed. They're absolutely fantastic. But they cut the corners on the little parts. So like the radiators are plastic. So Volkswagens, Audis, BMWs, after about 50,000 miles, you're going to start having little fixes like that need to be fixed because it's all plastic. Don't get me wrong, almost all the manufacturers sort of do it in one shape or another, you know? What do you think, Claire?
Yeah, I know some shadows need to be darkened.
Say that again.
Yeah, the shadows need to be darkened. I've noticed.
I thought you just said, yeah, Snowy's in number and I'm going to again.
It's been a long day, Phil. I'm sorry.
Oh, you guys have no idea. You're telling me. I walked in and the dean's, I'm leaving school and the dean's in there. You know, who's my boss. And he's looking around, he's needed someone to do something. And I always volunteer because no one ever does. And I go, I'll do it. And he looks over and he goes, you do too much here. And then he looks at Gina, our office assistant, or, you know, our secretary. And she goes, yeah, you do way too much. You need to go home. And I'm like, well, if you guys need help, it's something I could probably do or help with. And they're all, go home. I don't know.
I mean, are they wrong, Phil? Look how many classes you're teaching.
No, it's not that. I just enjoy helping. Always have. My family and I, my wife's, we're all public helpers in some way. My wife's a nurse and now been working in the medical field for years. My son's going to be a firefighter and he's doing really, really good. He's like him and one other guy are the top two people in the class. And my daughter wants to be a doctor, so I'm like super stoked for her. So, been really lucky, really blessed to have good kids. But part of that was, me making the decision to not take certain jobs, not want to go to other places you know, like DreamWorks is great, but a lot of people call it divorce works, because
Well,
it's you know,
well, when you get married, you definitely do take a very big change.
it's not necessarily the marriage, it's more having children. You make an agreement when you have a child, you have a responsibility to take care of that child and follow them in all aspects, you know.
Mhm.
The only thing I thought of doing, your white feels more, your light feels more white, is what I was gonna say. I'm wondering if we got a feel of yellow getting in a little bit. Light at its brightest. I can't talk tonight. Light at its brightest. Like if you take a colored light bulb and look at it, any Christmas light, the middle is white. So then all the rest is on the color spectrum that goes out. So I'm wondering if we could come in here. I was doing two things at once. Hold on a minute. Let me come back to this. Let me finish what I'm doing here first. If we take, what do I want? Let's use this fat boy again. This guy was pretty cool. Let me get this a little bit more up in there. I think it's going to be better. I can feel it with this brush better. I hit this edge. There we go. And there's two things I wanted to do. I'm going to get that edge a little hot. No, it's getting too hot. Hold on, maybe I need to go more to white. Let me try this. Go back a couple more. Still there. I needed a nice, there we go. Let's use that guy. There we go. And get that edge to pop out where light's sort of hitting it. And give it a nice little, and then I saw your lines in here, but they're a little on the lighter side. Erase about 10, blend these in a little bit more. And then come into more of a white and just sort of that end and bleed it across. I want to get that glass to pop out. You know what I mean? The, the glass where it's going to turn and go the other way. I feel like it needs to have a little bit of a rich turn in there. So what I just did was that, trying to pop the edge of the glass and then get a little bit. Highlights are still a little rich, so I'm going to dull those down a little bit, fade those in a little bit more. And then one last thing is the shadows in the very, very back there. Let's just punch these a teeny bit more right here, Claire. You guys are all doing a really great job in this class. You know that? Keep it up. I was really happy. We had some really good students in here. I didn't have to go backwards in this class like I did the one year I taught it, where no one knew anything about Photoshop. And I was like, what do you mean you don't? And they're like, well, we don't know that. Well, how do you do that? And I was like, and I just had to go backwards. Now we get to work on these little stories and these little narratives. It's quite nice there. Just a little bit crispness like that under that edge there. Let's put all those together and boom. So you just darken some of your darks a little bit in the back there, got that bush to pop out, which gets this to pop out a little bit more contrast. This is still a little rich here in that back there, which I could just get the edge off. So take the eraser, like 10 with the fuzzy, just blend that in there, get that to fade. And then the last thing I wanted to do, but it might be easier for you to do this, I'm going to try it, is I want a little bit more value under her shadow right here.
Mhm.
Hold on. I'm really excited though to go watch my tomorrow is one of the first high school meets. And I just want to see the look. My daughter walks in there and she's got her Letterman's jacket. She's got all these patches all over it, and she has a big patch in the middle. It's like state finals. Her and the other girls, they went and they did really well. They placed like 6th or 7th in state. That's really hard to do, going against some really good swimmers. And they got a patch for it. And then she has all these other California patches. She has league champ, CIF champ, and all this other stuff going down there. So I want to see her go in and just kill it tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is just take a light, like a navy blue sort of, and then take well, I think it should be 2 things. I think first it should be this value of this darker. The value of that texture would be a little richer. So let me try that first. Come back here, go to fuzzy. 1. Let's brush this a little richer here. Let it fade then here. And I'm in that gray. 0.5. Then I'm going to switch to the blue. Try to get a little bit of blue in there on the edge where the shadow first starts. And then I'm going to come in and take that blue, and that's not bad. And let me put a little bit of a blur on it. It's actually not too bad like that, but let me just see what it looks like. Blur, Gaussian. Yeah, I like that. It softens the edges just a little bit more like that. So then we get those little shadows under there too. Pronounce the shadows a teeny bit more. So if I combine all those together, there we are, Claire. Punch up your values a little bit, some little highlights on there. I darkened under here because that's away from the light in the back, and it just creates a nice little richness in there. And I am curious, oh, I closed the other window, if I had a little grit layer on there, what it would look like. To me, that dominant color is like a little bit of an earth tone in there, like a little, if I were to do a grid on that, I might do it something like that maybe, very soft and light, and see what the textures would look like. Put it on another layer. And let's take that dusty brush. That one works pretty good too. You go to 4 or 5, maybe 9, 10. Deselect. There it is. That's not it. We need that one. These were dust brushes somebody gave me once. They're really good. They do little dots pretty well. Yeah, can you see it? Putting those little,
Yeah.
putting a little bit of grit in there. I like that grit. And then if that grit gets in there, and then what I might do is let me switch back to this color, go a little richer, and it'll just help the ground a little bit. But I want to rotate it. I don't like the way the brush is going. Too much there. About a 70 maybe. Like that little textured feel in there, you know? On the cement, and then back to the other color, that green. I want to keep it off of the blues though. like that blue in there a lot. It really creates a nice little feel in there. There. It's very subtle. I think that I want to leave it alone. I wouldn't mess with it anymore. I just want to put a little bit over there. Much. Like that. I think that looks awesome. A little bit of grit on there, see it? A little bit on the ground. And I kept it away from grandma. I like that. It just gives it a nice earthy feel to it. So look at the difference before and then punching up the values a little bit more in there. Okay.
Okay.
It's a great piece. Love it. You nailed
Thanks,
it.
Phil.
Adopt today. Grandma looks cool. Your lineless style takes a lot of time. This is what I always come back to say. Give me quality over quantity. I'll take it any day of the week. That's a beautiful piece. Now do 10 more of these.
Uh,
Well, you could. You'll get faster.
yeah, I'll try.
You
I
would.
need to get faster.
Good job. It's a wonderful piece, Claire. Nice work.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Now let me go back and download. What time is it? We're at 8:30. Good. We have an hour or something. Okay. So let me try to remember. I'm downloading Viviana. Hold on a minute. Change.
One of them was Ryan, I think.
Yeah, Ryan had a tone. Let me find
Yeah, it was a black and white version.
Ryan black and white. And who else? Then it was Grace. I'll do all three of Grace's. I don't know which ones. And then let me hit download.
Oh, no, yours is you don't have to re-download mine. It's still in the file. It's just you only grabbed one of the images when you were opening them in Photoshop.
I see what you
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
No,
apologize.
you're good. You're good.
And let me download these in.
All right.
Okay, I do need to talk to you guys about one thing. I need to pick classes for next semester. Are you guys enjoying this class?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you
I'd
want
say.
to? The only other class I can
Yes.
think to offer at night would be I wrote all the sketching for animators and illustrators classes. There's one I wrote called visual development, where it's a class. I think I can do it at night. I think I can do it online. It would just be a continuation of what we're doing now. It would be all about, but it would be more about developing characters and the whole pitch, the whole story, the whole kit and
100%, Phil. 100%. Yes.
100%. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I feel like I need something like that too.
Then I would like to offer that at night. Otherwise, if I offered this one again, people would want to audit it and it wouldn't go. So I think that'd be
Phil, you know what you really need to do?
what?
Intermediate and advanced digital painting with photo bashing. Oh,
I know, but I don't know if I could fill that. I wrote those classes.
I need
And
that.
I have them written and I've never been able, I only one time I've been able to fill it. We could do that
Aw.
as an option and then we could write in, if the fact that you guys had this class, that's another option. I could teach that class, but I believe that's in-person class only. You know,
Is Garrett still teaching the intermediate digital painting classes?
he was, but we have a hard time keeping students up to intermediate. Usually
Oh, I see.
I have advanced and I have another class called painting for production, which was all about doing photo bash on like Maya sets to do, and on 3D models. It was similar to this class, but with 3D models. That was the intent of it. But I've never been able to keep students long enough. They're usually gone,
Yeah, I would love to take the advanced digital painting class if there was one, but like I've never seen it been offered. So
I offered it once years ago. Okay, what is going on?
I need to do intermediate before I go to advanced.
Oh, there it is. It's right in front of me. Okay, why does it keep downloading Grace's work? I keep telling it to download Ryan's and Viviana's.
Because I did the beginning one with Jesse and it was great.
Jesse's a really good instructor, and so is Garrett. They're really two wonderful guys. They're really quite fantastic.
Jesse's a monster with color. I love how he uses color.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. I do like, they're both really great. but the school's already told us they're not hiring anybody. So, not the school, the district. All right, so I had Grace, and then let's go Jerry, Kelsey, Evan. And I'm sorry, I'm realizing I might run out of time tonight. I'm not trying to run out of time. There's just a lot to do. You guys are all killing it. If I run out of time, I will jump on tomorrow later in the evening if I get home. We might be fine. We still got over an hour or something to get in there. Grace,
Hello.
that came out really good, Grace. It's very soft.
I'm
nice.
just worried that shadow is really dark.
This
I'm
is
like,
dark right here.
yeah, I lightened it and I was like, I don't know how I feel. So yeah, I lightened it just now, like in Photoshop, but I don't know. I would like your input first.
It's actually what is called getting muddy.
Yeah, that's one problem. I was like, it's kind of getting muddy, so I'm
It
just
is.
gonna leave it alone for now. I was kind of tired of staring at it.
So what I would do to fix it, what's happening is we want to put blues and shadows, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But sometimes if you have like brown carpet and a brown box next to it or a red box, and if the light in the back is a little bit yellow, we're not going to have as many blues. Blues
Yeah.
happen in natural lighting, where you have, a change on the full spectrum of light when you're indoors. Sometimes that changes a little bit. What I would do is I would just select this and get it back to this color. And then get that fade you have, which is sort of like almost like a carpet feel, you know? God, I would love to offer another class for Garrett or Jesse.
Phil, Garrett and I was discussing how like we really wanted like a digital portraiture class.
Oh my God. I would piss off the fine artists. They would shut my ass. Excuse my French, but they would shut me down.
Yeah. Because I have Garrett like this semester right now for 136 and I was like, because one of the assignments was just like, oh yeah, have some rendering studies and stuff, and I was just doing it, and then Garrett was like, dang, like I wish we had like like a portraiture class but for digital painting.
Good. I could write it. It just takes me almost a year and a half, 2 years to get it through.
Yeah.
That's the only catch. Which here's a problem. I keep wanting to teach more classes and I have to do curriculum review. I have to go through and revamp classes and send them back through. If that makes sense.
Phil, which texture brush is that it's in your brush pack, right?
It's not.
Oh, okay.
I just bought it recently and I know you guys are gonna want it.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
No, I'll give it to you guys.
I can use a different one.
No, not at all. I'm gonna give it to you guys. It's really nice.
All right.
You just got to get the right. It's pressures. I'm doing a bad habit.
Yeah.
I was just painting with a mouse, so it's an old habit, pre-Cintiq.
Yeah.
It see now I can get that. What I was trying to do is get that bleed of carpet. You see it?
Yeah. I may have been overthinking it because I'm like, you know what? It looks kind of better in like the color thumbnail I had. I'm like, maybe I should just like
Well,
revert it to that.
what I was gonna do is stick with this and
Yeah.
then come build on the blue.
Okay. All
So
right.
that was my idea, was to take this and then, you know, come in here and then start to brush on a little bit of blue. So you have the values, the local value of the carpet working with the shadow of the box and the light.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand.
And then I was going to build up the blues instead, versus I feel like what I sensed when I looked at yours, Grace, was we had a little bit of both at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where you get that, what we call that muddy feel. It happens in watercolor. If you get
Yeah.
a little bit of cool and then you make a mistake and put it warm and you start putting them together, it gets that mud feel, you know? So anyway, you get it. I just was going to do this and then, you know, tweak it a little bit. That's all.
Okay. Can I just have a screenshot just for, yeah, for myself? Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's very nice, very soft. I love the style. Very fun.
I think it's just like just tweaking. Sometimes that takes like forever because like I'll leave it for a couple of days and I'll come back to it. I'll leave it for a couple of days, I'll come back to
Yeah,
it.
and some
Yeah.
of it's also just getting in there,
Yeah.
you know, and just doing like layers are free, right? You just number one, you guys get I have the advantage I have over any of you is that I have fresh eyes looking at it. You guys have been looking at it for 8 or 10 hours. So you guys, you know, or some of you are 16, 20 hours. I haven't seen the damn thing. So I open it up and I'm like, oop, and I can just see a value or a tweak. That's all. Now I'm trying to brush in a little bit of blue and fade it on top of that other color. So they won't
Okay.
mix
Yeah.
together. That's what
Yeah,
I was gonna do. And then I meant to do it on another layer. I could turn it on and off, you know, but that I think it just got too saturated in there in here.
Yeah.
If you just
Thankfully, these are on the dark values are on separate layers, so I can just delete it and like
There you go.
revisit it. Yeah.
So
So
good
it's
job,
not
Grace.
that big of a deal.
It's a nice piece. Looks good. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. My pleasure. It's very nice. All right.
Oh, that's just my reference.
This is great right here. I've seen this before. I love that stylized stuff like that. See
Yeah.
that texture in there? Oh man.
I kind of wanted to do something like that because like I saw the other ones, it was like all like hyper realistic. I'm like, what if it just looks kind of like flat? There's one on the bottom as well. I don't know if you saw it. Go more towards the left. Yeah, that one right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
It has like almost that Powerpuff Girl feel, like the 2D. It's very like 2D, but it's
I
like
don't-
very dynamic. Yeah.
I see more of the earlier style, which is Mary Blair and UPA in there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there's a little bit of UPA in that too. Yeah,
the
you're right.
buildings in the back are sort of like
Yeah.
we're ignoring the rules of perspective, and then the cars in perspective, and then the streets
Yeah.
blocked, and then the buildings are stylized. I mean, that's actually a really great approach for any of you wanting to try something stylized.
And it's like a curved road.
Yeah, very, very curved. It's literally
Yeah.
sitting on a rounded sphere. So I think that's really great. So it's all really great reference. Okay. Nice work, Grace. That's
All right, thank you.
I love stylized stuff like that. It's so much fun. What I should do is I want to write a second class to this so I can have one later and then just, you know, but we'll see. They told us they're not going to let us. Oops. What did I miss? Close one of Kevin's by accident.
I'll never understand why the school is that picky. You know, like I'd imagine the more students
Because
that come here, the more money we get.
I have other classes I've written that haven't been taught yet, like the
Well-
advanced Photoshop classes. So when a class sits there and it's not being taught, they look down on that. And then the other problem is I can't get qualified instructors. I have Frank and Mike and I have a certain quality we want. We want you to be able to draw live. We want you to be able to do demos. We don't want you teaching from books. That right there eliminates about 70% of the instructors that are out there, you know? So, thought I closed Kevin's. I guess I'm wrong. All right, Kevin, like your reference.
Yeah, I was adding more towards it because I was just like, it seemed not as dynamic as I wanted it to be. Like, I guess like the motorcycles and the upshots of like the street was pretty something I wanted, but I'm still adding stuff on towards it.
Okay. Yeah, it looks good. Use that reference to guide you. All right, let's take a look here. You're very close on this.
The, the amount of revisions. It was just because of the freaking car.
I'm just gonna lighten the car. That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take that car and just lighten it and get a little bit lighter, like that. That's it. Then I would leave it alone because it's getting hit by the light. You see that?
Right.
It's under the light. And the other thing is, if I take that off, that value is way too dark compared to what's up here. And here's where you can really notice that. You just got to go in here, take a solid black, and you just got to fill it, and then put this on, and here you can see it when you go, because look at that value there. And then look at here, they're not going to jump. Well, it jumps down a little bit, but it's just like, that's pure black, and that's even lighter than that. It jumped up. So we need that car. If I do that, hold on a minute. If we do that, it just resolved all the problems. It made the car lighter, and then the last thing I might do, it's me being nitpicky. You're gonna have a little bit of bounce light on the back there. So if I take that and just, might not even lighten. Oh, I don't think I selected it. That's why. A little bit on the edge. That's it. Then I'd leave it alone. Take that off. There you go. So that's it.
On to the next one.
Right. I think it's a good piece. I think you could. Yeah, here's my recommendation. That water feels like it's on a glass window of the camera. So does that. This is what I would do. I would just make a raindrop or two and put them in here coming in an angle. That looks almost like a snot, in there. Just take a highlight little, streak it. Just get a couple in here. See, this feels like it's coming down the front of the window, like the glass, Just get a couple streaks in there, little teeny, little, hit something hot for a minute, trail it. That's too dark. Right, I meant just a couple little things and leave it alone. And I don't think you need this at all. I don't think you need that in there. And then we're part of that up. I don't think you need that at all. You just need a little raindrop coming in there. That's all. And then leave it. It's a good piece. Nothing wrong with it. Lighten the car down, and I think you're done.
Thank you, Phil.
My pleasure. Good job, Kevin. You should be proud of yourself. You did it's not easy. It's hard.
It's not. I'm even surprised myself. This is like probably like my first completed like illustration.
Well, and the other thing is, some of you gonna learn a lot about staging. You're gonna learn no-nos not to do, like, Mark was battling having the camera on the shaded side of the character's face against the light. So then you learn like, maybe don't put light behind the characters. Maybe have light on the left or the right. It's going to tend to work better. It's always going to be easier. So that changes the way you draw the environments, and everything's a learning curve. So you did a great job. It's a good piece. So I would be proud of it. Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
Oh, you're welcome. So is your class with Garrett
Yes.
in person, or no?
It's in person. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
have his dynamic sketching in the morning, and then his intermediate painting class is right after it.
So do I see you in the morning?
No, actually, I know you're like next door.
Oh,
I
I'm next
wanted to
door.
pop in, but then I was like, oh, this is like Garrett's class is already starting.
I'll pop in and say hi, because I get there early and I get Garrett's room set up for him, and then I come back because I don't have a lab aid. So I go make sure that the stuff is on and things are ready to go, That's funny. So you're in there. Garrett's a great guy. I met Garrett when I was in graduate school. He was just coming into the program when I was leaving. And he was really cool, so he's a really nice guy. So
Yeah, I like followed Garrett from like Kelsey Fullerton, and literally when I was graduating, I was like, Garrett, I don't know where to go, and I don't feel like I'm like ready for the world. And he was like, just go to Fullerton College with us. It's like the program's good here. And I was like, okay.
Okay, you're like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we have, Mike's a good teacher, Frank's a good teacher. We have a lot of, we have a certain value we want to put into our classes. And I think the program's done pretty well. We have a lot of students that have gone out that are working. So, just give us a little bit of your time, and and we'll tell you what classes to take in what order, and that'll help you out. All right. Kelsey.
Hello.
Hi there. What are your thoughts? I think it looks really good.
You do?
I think there's the
Not
cat.
sure what.
The cat might be flattening out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm still doing the cat.
Yeah.
Flat cat.
I like the darker value back here. It pops them well. I like that rug idea you have there. And then you have to resolve this stuff up here a little bit. And it's on its way. It's very close. I think do you have a good fur brush?
No, I would love one because it's taking.
Okay, I had one. This might work as a good fur brush. But if you look around, I tell you what, I'm going to look for you later, because I know there are good fur brushes out there. I've seen them before. And what a good fur brush does, which this one will do, is these other textures don't work as well. It has a trail off. And what I mean by that is you can do something like this. Actually, Taha's little brush would be really good too for that. Hold on a minute. Kyle's jumpers. There it is. Taha's pencil. Keep deleting it. Yeah, it's not in there anymore. I'll have to get that back. I don't have it. Something happened to it. I had it at school today and I was sketching with it. Oh, that's it right there. I just didn't see it. There it is. So this can give you, got to be careful here. That's the shadow side. So first things first, let me do this. Need to darken a little bit of that value on the tail.
I'm realizing that I probably shouldn't have made the cat white because it's so hard to shade.
Well, you're right, but we're going to bring it more into a brown, right? If that makes sense. So I'm just going to start there. I don't want to get too, but down here too, you got that, this rounds this way. So you're going to have this area here. And then even behind the foot there to separate the foot. Not going to hurt it to get that little bit over the edge of the foot. And then we can do the rest of the cat later. This is what I would do. I would copy and paste it. I go to levels and make it a little bit richer like that. That already starts to change the shape and the form quite a bit. Then I'm going to come back onto this and let me try this brush first. I'm going to go into about 90%. I'm going to do little trail offs like this. And that one could work. It's already working in there. That's a little pencil brush. And then another one that could work, the one I draw with, it converted to a texture. This is what it looks like. See that? That could work too because it has a nice gritty feel. Go a little richer in here. Start to get some darker values in that hair branching off. So it's just not all one color, you know. Here too, where I made that selection. I'm going to try to blend that selection in a little bit. So you got to build it up in layers. You got to start with the dark, and then we'll come in and put a mid, and then we'll come in and put the light hairs at the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's, you see it already working in terms of the fur transition.
Yeah.
You need to just get those little darks in there to sort of break those lines. That's what hair does. Sort of.
Would that look over rendered for the art style though?
I think it might be okay. It's she's got fluffy hair. She's gonna break the line of it. That's all.
Oh, okay.
I think it'll be all right because look, she already has beautiful little textures and gradients in there. Look at that. That's very nicely done already. And yeah, here you have Mr. Fluffy Cat, and he's, you know, change the brush thickness here or there to, let's go back to that mid color. Okay, so that was one. And look, it sort of creates that extra shadow and blends nicely. Do you see it wrapping form? You know?
Yeah, that looks better.
And that's this brush, that's my texture one. And then this is the one from Taha too, which works great. So that one works just as well. But look at what that does. It has the same texture. And then if I click over here and go back to this one, this also has very similar. And then there's this. Taha's has more texture, definitely. And then this does a trail off. What I mean by that, it's made, see how thin the trail off is? That's perfect. It's made to go thick to light like that. You see that? So it creates a good pattern. That'll be great for when you come in like this. You want to use that brush at the very end. Oh, hold on. Oh,
Is this a lasso tool painting?
oops. Most of it is.
Are you asking me?
Yeah,
Sorry.
because like you zoom in and it doesn't get blurry and weird.
No, I mean, a little, some of it's lasso, yeah, but I blocked it in with like a fuzzy pencil. I wanted to get fuzzy edges.
Yeah, because I don't know how you keep it from getting all blurry and smeary when you zoom in. It keeps its crispness.
Yeah, but she's also, you can see her technique. She's like doing a light crosshatch or single line technique in there, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you can't really see it that well online, but
I can see it right in there, right in here, transferring back
yeah.
and forth between dark to lights, which is a technique I learned back in the day that we would use with watercolor. We would watercolor, come back with Prismacolor pencils and do like certain curved hatches on to bring out the watercolor. It's very effective. It's a little time consuming, but it's a very effective technique. So this brush has such a good fade. It really allows you to get those soft like hairs coming out. You see that?
I like that brush.
So that's the fade brush, which is in the brush pack. It has this, hold on. Uh-oh. Come on, go back to brush. I think it crashed. Come on, I just started, man. It won't go brush. Hold on. There it goes. Now it's back. So that brush is this one. That's in the pack. That's that's from Shadi Sadafi. It's that highlight brush, and it fades automatically. So that makes for perfect hair. What I'll do is I'll take these right here, and if somebody else wanted the big fat mama, where'd it go? That one. It's more of a painting texture brush. And I'll take those right there. Those are all great brushes. If you don't have them, I'm gonna download them right now. Hold on. Well, that's weird. I have the older version of Photoshop. You have to select it, then go to the gear and say export selected brushes. Let me put them in our folder for tonight. Desktop for Tuesday 3/5. And I'm going to call them the hair and then texture, and I'll upload them for you guys, okay? Save. So you guys can have
Thank
access.
you.
Oh, my pleasure. Did you send me your one brush? Did you figure it out yet? Or is it?
I couldn't figure out how to send it individually, but I posted it to that info.
Oh,
the
you
Google.
did?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's under info.
Yeah, so if you look at what I did, I just right clicked and look here, there's hair texture. See that?
Mm,
It'll just
yeah.
you just right click, it saves it as an ABR. And since we're
Perfect.
talking about it, so you guys can have it, let me go home. Hold on, it signed me out. Let me sign back in. Sorry. And I'll put it up there for you guys all to have those. Single message. 1 second. It's top secret passcode, government clearance into a junior college. It's so ridiculous. All the codes we have to do. One minute. I just don't want to forget about it. Get it done now. Dart 48. Coming over here. I'm going to add a new file on the, you know what? My brushes aren't in there. I'm sorry. I apologize, you guys. I thought they were in there. So what I'm going to do is I'll upload. Hold on. Let me just do the whole section then. 1 second. Brush. So I'm going to do, I label mine like this so I could find where they are. That's my line cleanup brush. I'll give you guys that one, and I'll go all the way across here, painting and down to there. I don't know if you want any of these texture brushes. They're also pretty good. This is, where's the ground brush? I have a ground brush that's the best ground brush ever made. And there's some cloud brushes in there that are pretty good that I use too for clouds. You guys want all those? Lon?
I do.
That right there, 1255 is the best ground brush ever made. It does texture in like seconds. It's amazing. I got that one from Jason Slavin. Export selected brushes, and I'm just going to call it Phil's main. This is drawing and painting. Draw, and paint. Save. Okay, done. Minimize. Let me see, canvas. Adding in the file right now. And add in a file here. Create file, choose file. Desktop, I can't see it. Sorry. Almost done. Desktop. Tuesday, 3/5. Phil's main, draw and paint, add item. Adding, it's uploading. Sorry guys, if I'm not going to give a break today because I'm going to try to get through everything. And this there, it's up there right now on Canvas. You guys can download it. Okay, it made it up there. So I think you have a wonderful piece. I think the little details in here with either this brush, and that brush are going to be pivotal. Okay.
Okay.
Because just look at what it's doing already.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Do you mind? Can I get a screenshot?
Oh, please do. And I didn't blend this in here, but I was trying to show you the process,
Mhm.
which is I would darken the values first, then come in with
Yeah.
the brush and then blend it in with, so make it look like hair.
I think I got too scared to go in with the dark shadows, but that looks so I will do that.
I get it. I totally get it. And then I might even hit under here, like, right here, her arm, the fabric's compressing. So you get like it's like a stretch fold. You have a point of tension right here. So the fabric's going to do this, if that makes sense. So that means you'll have basically like, what colors do I have? You're going to have like a shadow, highlight, on those. And then that'll help that fold show a little bit more. And just little details like that. You get a little bit of that brush in here, and you get a couple highlights there and fading off here. Look at how wonderful that brush just fades. It just does so well. And then boom, another suggestion I would give, and I can show you this later, draw a shoe texture flat like this, like little diamonds on it, and then transform it and put them on the bottom of the shoe. And then once that's on the bottom of the shoe, take a little bit of one of those dusty brushes and hit a little bit of dust on the shoe like that. And it'll give the imprint of the shoe being there, and that'll look even better. So what's great is you've built all this up very soft and nice. Once you get these little details on the hair and on her and on, especially, look, if I just come in here and do this and start putting like a shoe print and little patterns on there or whatever. And if you just go to levels and just, you start to darken that a little bit, and then you get a texture on there. Oh, that's a done deal. That'll seal the whole deal with them being in detail. Then we could come back here and maybe do little things. What I might do back here might be stuff like this. I might take that color that you have, and I might just, if you want to stylize it, we can put a little bend on it like this. By the way, I just did a happy accident. I'm drawing with that brush, and the thick and thin of it is awesome. It's that pencil line brush for the hair. See, and it makes little cracks look pretty rad. Anytime you can introduce a little bit of counter angle in a piece, it's going to add to it a little bit. See, having those little shifted beams up there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thick and thin, it just adds a little, not as straight and perfect, So matches your door stylization a little bit. So have fun. We'll take a look at it next class. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure, Kelsey. You should be proud of yourself. It's a good piece.
Thank you.
All you guys are killing it, man. It's great. Super excited. All right. That's a great scene right there. What is that? This is awesome too. That is so cool. Look at that color in there. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Man. Telling you, take a car, turn it, curve the road. That's part of the whole secret in pulling that off. All right. Good reference. Thank you. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
All right. So I got all of Grace's, right, Grace?
Yeah, you already went over mine.
Okay, thank you. I'm just confused. It's been a long day. Thank you, Grace. And the one and only Studmeister Jerry. How are you?
Hi, Phil. How are you?
I'm good. Hanging in there. Those are one of your vehicles for your chase, or what are you thinking?
Yes, I'm thinking like a sketchy van that's clown themed.
Really very clever. I like the clown nose on the front already. You know that? It's because clowns are always a little freaky. Should take that hat and
Just put it there.
it should be larger cat on the front. That'd be cool. It's like that. Pretty cool like that. I like that idea with the big eyes, and it's like an old Ford or Chevy grill on it, you know,
Yeah.
and it's just, you know, all in butt. There's like the best part is got to have a clown driving it, you know, right?
Yeah.
It'd be pretty good. Like clowns chasing people. So that's great. I like how you got to this right here. If this is too high in the staging and blocks buildings, then we could trim this down. Once you get it from like a front angle and stage it, we might have to lightly modify it just a teeny bit.
Sounds good.
It looks great, Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. Cool. It's a great idea, guys. Note to self. Instead of just gather reference, but draw the vehicle first. Bring the vehicle live so you know what you're working with, you know? Lock, Meg, Win, and we stop right there. All right. Hi, Megan. That looks great.
Hello. I feel like I'm so close with the crazy.
Yeah, you are. It looks great.
I just need to do like some tweaking and like define some lines and all that, but I'm liking the way it's going, so that's good.
Yeah, I think it's reading very well. It's a nice, we should scale it down. What I like is even though you have some whites coming in here, you put dark values here with the dog, and then the sign is what locks in the detail there. So I think it's quite wonderful.
Thank you. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Just an idea.
Mhm.
If their shadow is casting this way,
Yeah.
there's going to be shadow under the car here like this.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
there. If that makes sense. If you draw
Yeah.
through the shape to the other tire, you'll
Yeah.
see that area there be shadow. So
Okay.
that's really it. I love the little font, and the sign up here looks gorgeous. Look at that.
Okay, that is like my favorite part of the whole piece.
Really, it's I looked at it, went right to it, and I'm like, this is just the fonts, and then the cool little sign. Like, I love little hanging signs like that. It's just
Thank you.
wonderful. It's very simple, and it's one of those really nice. It's not a key read like the characters, but it's a nice little secondary detail that it creates overlap. There's visual read, and it explains a whole part of the narrative and makes it really simple. It's quite wonderful. So
Thank you.
all right, good job. That's great. Now you get to move into color, right?
Eventually, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. Unfortunately, I feel like I want to work on it for maybe about like an hour or so more, and just like clean up some lines and do a little bit more.
That's all right. You can work on it, and then if you want to email it to me,
okay,
because I'll reply. I'm at school early on Wednesdays and Thursday mornings. I come in about 5:30 or 6. Okay.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Good work. Thank you. Looks great. I love this. It's a really good choice of darkening the cat there a little bit to get it all to read. You know.
Thank you.
Because you needed that contrast there on the right side. You know.
Yeah, the cat is based off of a cat I used to have, so I thought that'd be fun.
Even I like your little, I call them like Syrah trees. Blocky. It's great. It works, and it no one cares about the leaves of the tree, care about the whole illustration and how it comes together. But this really, and you're creating a little triangle between here to there to there, and that triangle keeps in part of your visual read, which is quite nice, you know. And one other idea that I might do, since this is something that NC Wyeth used to do, is if we take your little dark here, come down and like here on the sidewalk, if we get another little dark patchy area, here, then, and if we maybe tap his shoe a little bit. So what I'm trying to do is this: you have a triangle there, and then be able to come up here and then get another triangle moving in there. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay,
And
okay. Just like
anytime
to,
you can do that compositionally will be key. So
oh,
even like here, you might be able to like put a little pitted gradient there. And then you'd be like, okay, what if that brings me up to here? And then
mm,
what if I came down? Okay, maybe I have a little, just a teeny drop shadow that's very light. So
okay.
he did that all the time. You would do A's and you would do triangles and you would move your
Mhm.
eye. You would do it with color too. And
Okay, okay.
so it's really cool. That way, when I first looked at this, this was all nice and soft, but I came over here and I'm like, ooh, dark, dark to dark to dark. And then I was sort of like, oh, I could even go wider, come back out because you have another dark there. If you go to there, then you have another dark. And then you're making that your key, like you
Mm,
take it out of that triangle, you know?
okay,
So
okay.
do you think there's more like values needed in the storefront? Because it feels just like there's a ton of white,
It is.
and I feel like that's gonna misread as like the pole next to the window looks like it's the same.
The hard battle in this piece is if you put any darker values back in here, it
Mm-hmm.
can.
No, I'm talking about in the white areas.
Oh, you mean the white?
Light mid value.
Yeah, no, I agree. I pushed it too far. I was working on the Cintiqs in the lab, and they always darken the screen a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I know it. I think yeah, no, I agree. It is a little bit too bright.
Because I feel like the focal point, there's not enough contrast compared to the left side of the page. Like there's so much
Well,
white. It's
there is a lot of white there, but all you got to do really is I think I mentioned this last class. If we
Mhm.
flatten out that light a little bit, and if you just get in there with a soft brush,
and even just some like
really
maybe
light,
gradients on the windows a little bit.
knock it
Oh,
down
there
a
you
little
go.
bit
Okay.
so it's not as high.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
already
All
like
you have to do, and then it's almost fixed, where it's not quite pure white anymore. It's just little dark spots that bleed.
Yeah, I've got a overlay layer that's like pretty. That well, no, I think it's a soft light actually. It's brightening up that corner of the piece, so I can turn that down a little bit.
Okay.
for sure.
Oh. It's great. It's a good piece, you know.
Thank you.
And what's funny is I still just I can come in here, like I mean you have that is almost defined composition there where you could lose bits. But I like the width of it because I like seeing the street. You're
Yeah, I just wanted like to have a little bit more perspective in it,
Exactly.
so I just wanted a wider composition.
Well, and you're showing us it's not just the story of the characters. You're giving us a feel of the neighborhood and the streets and the old brickwork, and that's really important too because that communicates a lot to the viewer as well. Good job.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Hopefully, I'll get it done.
You will.
Sometime before I die. Hopefully, it will be done.
Now we're going to car chase, which is the fun part. You know? So, all right.
Too much stuff to do.
And I still want to draw. I have these visions in my head of the car chase. I need to find a time. Maybe Thursday we can skip crit a little bit, and maybe we all submit again on the following Tuesday. So then I could get to sketch a couple thumbnail ideas, you know? So, all right, Locke. I like this one the best up here. Oops. It's on its way. But if you pivot that camera more to a 1-point shot and you start to angle the cars, that will be the secret that'll make that shot work. Does that make sense?
You mean like 1-point
1-point front shot.
front shot? Oh,
For the
got you.
vanishing points like pretty close to the middle or a little bit offset.
Got it.
And then one thing cars do when they're getting air, I know you're probably like, how do you know this, Phil? Well, I know it because when I go to the desert with my buddies, when we go camping, we have these buggies that are made to go 65, 70 miles an hour in the dirt over and jump, and they have race truck suspension, and we get air in them all the time, and they tilt. When things are getting air, they tilt and then they land back down, right? So even if you get this, if you start to tilt this thing in the air, you know, like it's a little crooked, like it's sort of, you know, That'll give you, it'll start. Anyway, I like what you're doing here. These are looking great. Keep going. Think about spinning the camera a little bit more in front of it, if that makes sense. Okay?
I see. Got it.
These are, so you started here, and
Uh-huh.
then these two are really bringing you closer to a finished solution. And I love seeing the cop car coming up on the top there, stylized like that. So keep doing what you're doing. Okay, it's great.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, my pleasure. It's good stuff. Thank you. All right, Nicholas. All right.
Hey,
Okay. I'll tell you what I would do. I think I mentioned this to a couple of people. If color is difficult for you or new, treat it as a value scale and just nail the value on it. That makes sense?
okay.
So treat it as you're working. Have you ever done tonal studies before?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like in a dynamic sketching sense where I just kind of shaded like an object or
Go
something.
inside. So because if you go to color, you could really struggle. And I was worried if there are a couple people in here that don't have as much painting ability, I would say just go work in the value set. So the way to work in the value is just this. Come up here, go under image, and you'll learn more from doing this. Just go to grayscale and just discard the color. And now pick, what I want you to do is this. Come back into your piece, okay? Another way to do values is this. Excuse me. Pick a solid black, fill that layer, put this on saturation, and then paint above it and just black, or just leave that on the top and paint above the background layer. Okay, and anything you do will come out. So what we need to do first is this. This is going to help you. Using red and blue, I need you to pick a direction of light. Red represents highlights, blue represents shadows. Because as you dive more into this, you need to really figure out where the lights and the shadows are going to be to make the piece start to work. So I see highlights hitting the side of the pig here, right? Here. And then I see highlights coming up here a little bit, right? So if that's hitting here, then I would think about, okay, there's a shadow casting there. Let me go back to more of a, there we go. And there's shadow casting here. There's a shadow to the pig that's going to cast there. We're going to have a shadow to this guy that's there. And then again, that's going to be highlight, 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 highlight. That's going to be more highlight, highlight, and then shadow side, shadow side. Figure that out first and then treat it as a value study this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking about, hey, all these areas are going to be highlights. This will be shadows in here. Highlights and then shadows. If you can get the tone down correct, learning tone will then allow you to understand how things work better into color later on. Okay?
Okay. I've just been using the lasso tool and like drawing shapes around and lightening stuff.
And that's okay, but here's the problem. If you continue doing that, you have a highlight, you have light source coming that way there, but you have a light source coming that way there.
Right.
That makes sense. So you need to really figure out, I would choose either light is coming left or right. In this case, because of the girl's face, it's going to be easier if light's coming this way, where we see a highlight here, here, and there like that, which means this hey here will be highlight, and then this will be shadow side. And they're going to cast a little bit of shadows to highlight. Make sense?
Sure. Yeah.
You need to
Well, I
get,
thought it was going to come through the door because that was the opening, the back there, and then it was going to kind of like bounce inward. But I guess your way is easier. Yeah.
if you do it through the door, then it's gonna highlight stuff way back there because the light would be coming in at an angle that way, and it's gonna be further away. So to simplify this, I would say either light coming from above or left or from right, and right will probably be the easier option for you on this. Okay, treat it like a value, and let's get the values nailed down first. Don't worry about color. All right. some
Cool.
students in this class, I've already had them in environment sketching and other classes where I've already taught them value structures, dark to light transitions. So they're a little bit more, they have that mileage under their belt to help them out with it. Okay. And then
Okay.
if you nail down, sure, then when you nail down the tones, we all grow at different levels. It's about growing and getting to that level, and then you learn more, and then you level up and get better and better. So I'd rather you do the values and get yourself there, and then on the next assignment, we might be able to cheat it a little bit, but I'll try to help you with that. And then for future classes, we have, like we're mentioning Jesse, we're mentioning Garrett. Those are other instructors at school that really go over and teach you a lot of that stuff about values and painting and transitions and how that stuff all comes together. Okay. All right. Thanks,
Cool.
Nicholas. All right. Next here, Nguyen. Go to the
Hi,
bed.
Phil. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little tired. I can't wait to go to bed tonight.
Oh,
It was a long day and I kept waking up when I was sleeping, but it's all right. I'll be fine. I'm just going to go eat in a little bit. All right. I love the car.
yeah.
I love the reference.
Okay.
I like that image again. So that's a great shot right there. Right here, buddy.
Which one? Oh,
That one
yeah.
right there. So this is what I was talking about. I was telling you guys an offset 1 point. Instead of having the vanishing point right in the middle like this,
Hmm.
offset it a little bit to one side. So having it like this, we get this a longer stretch where
Hmm.
it's sort of 1 point, but then it's starting to turn into a 2 point. It's not quite,
Yeah.
it's just not even quite 2 point yet, but then there's a Dutch tilt on it. That's the next thing I was going to express to you guys. Once
Yeah.
you do the drawing and the drawing's done, tilt the horizon line in the back first, then take the car and tilt the car. What that's going to do is it's going to create counter angle.
Yeah.
It's going to the same principle of what contrapposta is in the human figure. You know, the shoulders go this way, the hips go the opposite way. It's the way our body adjusts itself. The same thing happens in a composition. It starts to adjust itself as well. I really like what you have here. I love seeing that car getting air.
Yeah, I like that one the most out of all of them,
Yeah.
actually.
Now, as the street goes, it's twisting this way, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because what could be funny is you could have that, and then you could also have a police car like here, like it's going about to crash, like it's tilting too much. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like it hit a tree or something, and it's about to spin out. But keep
Oh,
the
it went out of the road, right? And
yeah,
then
like it hit something and clipped it, because that's whenever there's car chases, the cops
yeah.
drive like idiots. So the cops clip like the stand, or they clip the fire hydrant, and their car tumbles over, you know. So and then this guy's on him still, and he's following the curve of the road. And he's about to get air. So that's the other thing that's great about this, Mr. Nguyen, is
Yeah.
the movement that you're doing in here compositionally that brings us back to there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
work on that thumbnail, but we still have time to do another thumbnail or two and see if any other ideas pop
Okay.
into your brain. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good
Um,
work.
and do you have any suggestions on what kind of environment we can be in?
Yes, I want city buildings.
Okay. Okay, you want that. Okay. I'll do
Like
it.
we're in a downtown city. It's busy. And the reason why I want that is the city buildings back here will fill the negative space
Oh.
behind it.
Yeah.
And then it'll give you this really nice sort of visual read, having these high buildings up here like this, and then back here, you have these large shapes to overlap these other shapes.
Oh, okay.
See, it blocks the whole sky, and then
Oh,
it
like
gives us,
Batman. Okay.
yeah, it gives us lots of lighting possibilities, especially with the sun going down, and you get clouds back here, and then you get darks up in the front. It can really be quite wonderful way to light it too. Okay, so yeah, I'm definitely going into that route right there. Okay,
Taha said that she's leaving.
who did?
Taha?
Oh, you okay, Taha?
No. Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm all right. Oh my god, the way you said that out loud was so funny.
That's all right.
I want you to leave early. You know, so
Listen,
You just called me out like that. Oh my
where are you
god.
going, Taha?
I
Where you
have to
going?
shower.
You'll like
'Cause my
class
roommate is
work,
gonna
Taha.
like sleep, so
That's okay. You do good work, Taha, and I know you.
no, I don't. I haven't turned in anything. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna track you down. You better get on it.
Yeah, I know.
Why are you so behind?
I like fell behind after I came back from Seattle, and then I got like sick for like 2 days, and then I fell behind in everything.
That's why I would tell you never go to Seattle. You know, don't they have an open drug policy on the streets there, right?
Oh my god, but they do that in LA as well.
Well, LA, it's technically illegal, but they don't enforce the law. But you know, yeah, we'll find out if that changes with Garcon, because lots of people are going after him because he doesn't do a good job of the city. Anyway, Taha, get caught up. I know you can.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right.
thank you, Phil.
Good job, Mr. Nguyen. By the way, this angle down here
Yeah.
has possibilities. Just bend the street
Yeah.
and then show it coming up. But you're doing a good job. It's good work.
Okay.
All right, very nice.
Oh, can you ask for a parking permit for Salma this Friday?
Yeah, can you send me an email to remind me, and I'll send it tomorrow morning.
Oh, okay, okay.
Thank you.
And we have to discuss about like how to handle the overloaded figure drawing room sometime.
Yeah, we might need to limit it. We might need to. I might need to make an announcement this week
Okay.
to say we need people to get here on time,
Yeah.
and we can only take so many people, and we might have to turn people away.
Okay.
And what can happen, the side effect of that is, this happened like 5 years ago when I was doing it. The side effect was people stopped coming for a little bit and then the numbers drop. But I'd rather service our students first, and if the
Yeah.
numbers drop, I'm fine with that. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
we'll make it work. They'll come
Okay.
together. Okay, all right. All right, Ryan.
Hey Phil, I noticed you didn't grab the color version either, and so I put it in there, and I re-uploaded it. So if you want to grab that one and the new black,
Yeah, I thought I grabbed the color version.
I didn't see it. I could be wrong.
Let me just download it. Take me a second to get it here.
But
Okay. So there's something I liked in your old version.
yeah, it's more simplified. I feel like the character and the dragon are too detailed for the surroundings.
To me, it's more the dragon. I don't.
Okay.
What I noticed. Well, there are two things. One is that before you had a shadow on the dragon, and the face faded back a little bit. I like that
more
idea
drastically.
of that shadow, but then it getting very softer. What I was making comments on was lightly developing, where you could see like maybe the arms or the legs or the feet in there with other light, where you could see part of the pose and the stance of the dragon.
Yeah, I was struggling with like the size of the head, and then just like I don't know if I'm just being realistic and giving him too thick of a neck, and I just need to. It just felt like posing the body in there was kind of difficult.
The other thing I noticed is, I'm going to show it to you and it'll make sense.
Uh-huh.
The center line comes right here. So
Yeah, I feel like that's okay.
the dragon's brow is going to be more like here,
Okay.
and the eye will be over a little bit more, and you might see a little bit of the eyelids on the other side as it curves down. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
I was struggling with it, so I feel like that's kind of the hardest.
Yeah, the center line
perspective wise.
construction. Hold on, I'm drawing on your. I meant to draw on another layer, because what I noticed this first thing was the center line here goes here, but the center line here is over there. Do you see it?
Yes, I thought in my mind it was like bending downwards and then going up, like on his snout.
Is
So it's like a
this-
V.
That
Yeah,
looks
like
great. Here, just if that's the center line, treat this as the main mid area, and then you're gonna see maybe a little bit of the eye like that, and then it's gonna curve like that, and then you have this eye is just gonna come a little bit more over and be over here a little bit. So your center line goes like this down the guy.
I guess I was making the upper snout area a bit more triangular. But
So
yeah.
that's all I would do. I'd fix that. The next thing that I would fix was when the yellow hits the grill, it's the same spread all the way across. It's not losing and fading as
I'm
much.
sorry, say that one more time.
When the yellow highlight hits here,
Yeah.
it's keeping its intensity and then it drops off.
Okay.
I would let it fade like this. I would grab that and I would let it hit and end like this. And then when it hits, I would drop down and let it like fade like this. See that? Fade
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get lighter.
Yeah, I guess I was just looking at the hole it was coming through, and I just thought I was just gonna put like the edge of the hole on that. So I don't know. I think I'm just like learning. So yeah.
Oh, you're okay. If we get in there and if I
Just so you're saying not enough of a gradient, I guess.
yeah, have the light spread and wrap over
And then
the form very softly.
yeah, I was trying to do that, but I think yeah, it needs a little bit more like of a lighter value at the end there.
Because if I get in here and just sort of start bringing in a little bit more of that purple, you'll see it change very quickly.
You know what's funny is I had more like darks in there, like wrinkles. Yeah, like that, like what you're bringing out. And I thought because of the intense light from overhead, it would put more light into the wrinkles, but I guess it still has a crease.
I want to see that light just spread. It's going to lose light travels and it wraps around and then it fades,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it diminishes.
But yeah, I just felt like I over rendered the head a little bit much, and then I was just struggling with the body. Like I didn't know if I was gonna put like if it was more of like a wyvern with wings for arms, like more of a natural look, or yeah, just fitting the legs in. It just all kind of felt, and then I just feel like I'm behind, so I was
Okay.
not putting
So
enough time into figuring it out.
all you got to do is fix the dragon, fix the highlights there, and then the only other thing I might consider doing is there's so much detail up here.
Yeah, I was also considering simplifying it. It just, I guess I wasn't sure because when I was looking at Ivy in real life, everything is very individualized. So I
is.
think I just have to practice on a stylization. I was thinking about just painting over that and seeing how it looked.
I'm thinking of just taking it and just hold on a minute. I knew that was empty. And then if we darken it, hold on a minute, filter, go to blur, Gaussian blur it a little bit softer so it's not as detailed. And then since the light's coming from the left, I'm going to come back in here, take my eraser, and wait a second, where's my eraser? And take my eraser and then lightly sort of erase this so we can see the light hitting that one side to it. And let this fade back a little bit and get darker in there. Just so it's a little bit not as bright. And darken it up and then focus on the dragon. This is the selling point. The light hitting here, coming to here, and then some of that bright light's gonna hit here. It's gonna illuminate
Yeah.
a little bit of that grass too.
Yeah, I tried adding some in front of them, but yeah, I think I need to add some behind them. I wanted to re-render that grass portion too. I used just like a stamp grass brush, but I was looking at grass earlier and I feel like I could do it a bit more painterly and a little more sunken in, and then yeah, just bring more definition with the light.
And I'm gonna darken some of this here in the foreground. Not as much, that'll lock us back into here, killing some of those lights in there. Like that. That keeps
So like
you in the
a vignette almost.
yeah, and just sort of circles it a little bit. See that? It's like a little bullseye, keeps you right in that little area. Okay, be careful here. You're getting lots of little multiple reflection shadows in the metal and stuff. Just I might dull that down a little bit more.
Okay.
It's there, but it doesn't have to be as important because
Yeah.
your main read on the characters, number one,
Mhm.
and you already have that happening. So I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think rendering metal gives me a little bit of trouble in terms of like thinking how it looks realistically and stuff. Yeah, I think just trying to stylize, it's like
You're almost
uh
rendering it as if it's shiny metal, like it's polished.
I was, and I think
Yeah.
that's like I think just because I look at a lot of like Hearthstone and Blizzard art, they make things very polished and shiny, and I think I'm just
The
kind of
whole, there's
using
a
that a little too
there's
much.
a gnome that walks around and buffs the whole world out. And
Pretty much, yeah, pretty
right,
much. Everything's
I know
blinged out.
everything in Blizzard
Like
is so bling.
yeah, and I feel like even just like the way they render materials and yeah, just the way they render materials because the technique is so similar across so many materials, it all ends up looking a little bit the same. But
Look at me knocking this down. I'm just killing a little bit of the highlights.
yeah, it brings more
Look at,
attention to the character.
oh yeah, look at it. You just leave it. You don't care about it. You go right back into here.
Yeah.
That's your beauty spot. Is the light trickling in here, a little bit of light coming into there, hitting the dragon, hitting the kid. We see the sign. You're fine. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Let me get a screenshot real quick.
Yeah, I'm not sure why all the Blizzard materials look like plastic.
It's just because they add a lot of like they have like high or very contrasting tonal values.
Yeah. Got a picture, Ryan?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, good job. My pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time on this. And I feel like it's like
All right.
once I do this well, I want to go back and just repaint it completely because now I have values and colors to pick from.
We're almost done. So you're there. We're going to jump to the next one. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Raphael, how are you doing? When I do that, I love it. Raphael still here? Did I lose him? I might have lost Raphael. Let me come back in a minute. Might have stepped away for a second. Viviana. Good. It's good color block in. Now establish your light and your shadows, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, looks good.
Do you like it? Do
Yeah.
you like is the building on the right too much with all the green?
No, that's gonna be secondary and be blurred. We don't even care about it.
Hey Phil,
Oh.
sorry, real quick. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. My phone died the moment you like called me, and I switched
All
over
right.
to my iPad.
Don't worry
But
about
go
it.
ahead. Go ahead. You can do like go ahead with Vivian.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Viviana.
Done.
Good.
I think this is great, Viviana. Just figure out.
Yeah.
Your light's gonna come from the left on this. Okay.
Okay.
Because then
Yes.
it'll hit that's the best angle for both characters, for the girl and for the animal. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Good job. And if you do that, don't wait all the way to next week just to do the light. Start it and send it to me so I can look at it and give you feedback on it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
do that over the weekend then.
Because I want to wrap it up so we can get you guys on the next project. I think after today, we have to sort of move and jump all the way into the next project. Hold on. My mic isn't in my face. There it is. Okay, cool. All right, good job. All right, Raphael. There.
Hey Phil.
Do you see I just darkened it a little bit?
Oh, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow.
But
it always looks different on your monitor.
I do that. I just love it. It's just
because I messed with the levels and I did exactly that, but then like it obviously needed more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that looks good like that.
I think it's quite wonderful. Do you want to put any highlights in his hair at all?
The boy's hair.
Yeah, or are you gonna leave it?
Yeah, I was gonna do a little more, like not too much. Like if you see to the part of his hair that's towards the window, there is a little bit of that already. But I would like to punch it a little more because I do feel like the hair is very like saturated. It's very dark.
I would just do a teeny bit because you have a sort of neat style in there that's more graphic shape. And
Right.
I think you could probably go on there with a very light texture brush. And
Yeah, I wasn't trying to like do because like I want to do some kind of indication of like strands, but I don't want to go too crazy to where like it's rendered differently than the rest of the piece.
Absolutely. I'm almost tempted to make them some of the strands like a very light, subtle gray.
Phil, how long would you say it takes before you get to the point where you like naturally just look at something and be like, oh, yeah, way too light, too dark?
Somebody mentioned there was dust storm happening outside the store.
There was a what?
A dust storm, dust storm happening outside the store.
That's sort of a good point. It's all that. That's what it looks like in the middle of the dust.
Oh, that's funny.
There, do you see? I just did the hair very light like that.
Yeah.
I would.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Simple. I wouldn't. I'd keep it more like chalky looking.
For sure.
Where it's just simple like textures, not every hair like we're doing on the cat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but there is. There is something to say about that yellow sort of feel of the dust storm.
Because like okay, because like I do want a little bit of yellow lighting, but yeah, it's like I can I can see how that can be interpreted as like as a dust storm or something, or like maybe it's happening in like freaking the middle of the desert or something, you know, but which is unlikely. But yeah, I do want to like introduce a little bit of that like yellow lighting, maybe closer towards like yellow orange or something. I don't know, but I don't want to get too crazy with that either because that might look even more so.
That's right.
Phil,
But
I was asking like how long did it take you to get to the point where you can look at a drawing or painting and be like, oh, yep, that's too dark, that's too light? Like, how much mileage does that take to get that kind of knowledge, you know?
I just told you it's to have a fresh set of eyes. That's all it
Oh.
is. Well, I mean, come on. I've been doing tonal studies and drawing. You know, I started working in 97. So I took my job here at Fullerton in 2010. And then I continued doing freelance and working on projects and other film stuff. In the beginning, when I took my job at Fullerton, I was only teaching 3 classes or 4 classes. So I was doing a ton of freelance, kept working on projects, and you just, you know, you're hanging around other artists and, you know, you start developing ideas and, you know, you see things and what was really fun with me is my buddy Joe Spataford would do a painting, and we used to do this. I jump on to meet him and he'd be like, man, I just can't get this. And I would look at it and I'd be like, dude, put highlights here. And he was always like the painting expert. So he's a really good guy with color. And I told him, I said, Joe, you've been staring at the piece for 12 hours. I haven't. I look at it and I just notice, you know, where's the contrast? So I go, remember those rules, John, that we talked about? You know, where's your silhouette read, the biggest area of contrast, the most amount of detail? Where are the directional lines compositionally pointing in the piece? How is the light affecting the read of the characters, you know?
Mm-hmm.
One big oh, can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
One big tip that I got from when I went to Lightbox Expo was one guy told me that you should only be using 15% to 85% of values in your painting. And then once you start like finalizing all the hard details, that's when you're going to use the darkest darks and the lightest lights. So it's like you just want to pay attention to how wide your value range is. And so it's like if the back wall is a similar value range, and going black and white is also super helpful because you just want to look for contrast.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I know artists that do color really well, but they suck at contrast. They suck at value. And they don't, because I've been in that scenario where I would go in the color room and we had this one lady who was just this amazing plein air painter, but man, she couldn't do it. She couldn't pull off a tonal study. So she could pick colors and she was great at it, but she didn't understand light and shadows. And I told her once, I said, let me show you the perspective of understanding light and shadows and how they work. She goes, no, I don't want to learn. I'm like, okay, well then that's going to hinder her. And do you see what I did there real quick, Raphael?
Yeah, you added the silhouettes, right?
If you
I
put some
don't know why I
light-
didn't even think of that.
If you put light silhouettes, it'll kill that look of it being the dust storm.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Because then we see some little shapes out there and we see a city and something else is going. And then even on top of that, if those are darker, you might be able to get away with then having there being, this might not work behind a plated window, but let me see. Let's try it.
Well, you know what? I could also add a little bit of like, the sheen that shines off, that reflects off glass.
So I
you know.
lightened it to look like there's clouds out there because clouds will be a lighter value. They're white, right?
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would do, you just took the words out of my mouth. I'd come in here and just take that little sky right here.
Ooh, yeah, I love that brush.
All right. We were using that last semester. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It really is one of the best.
It's like your best friend as soon as you hit tone.
Highlights or hair or grass. I'm just like,
It's like literally the last, because it's like the last thing you start doing, you
I
punch the
actually,
highlight.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much fun. You just got to get the
Do I even have that brush?
What?
Let's see if I even have that brush.
Problem is, you got to get the highlights on the.
Oh yeah, I do.
The dark silhouette like that. You see that? It won't show, Raphael, if you don't have. Yeah, that's the benefit of those silhouettes.
Right.
It's going to allow you to
Makes
pop
a lot of sense.
that in there, like that. I like that, like that. It looks pretty cool. Now I
Yeah,
did have
I agree.
one,
Already like so much better.
one light suggestion, and you might not like this, but let me just try it real quick.
Sure.
If you take this and go a little richer, and if we just come in here and sort of go like thick and thin line like this.
Okay.
And then hold on, that's actually too thick. Let me go thinner.
Yeah, because like when I was working on this, I kept everything. So I kept the outlines, and then until like I covered it all up with like just the lasso shapes, so I still have some of the outline, and I could just like thin them out and stuff. It even has like a molding like that.
Yeah, I
So-
just wanted to almost come in here and then right here.
Should the molding be a different like value or a different like local color or something?
It's up to you. I mean, you could try to lighten or darken it. I just like the fact of hitting a little line just creates in and out definition of contrast in the back.
Right. It also kind of fills the space back there.
Yeah, see, it's just very subtle. It doesn't have to be, and again, it's thick. It's not like this, like,
Right.
it's just super, just, I'm barely pressing in and a little bit thick and thin and letting it fade. And when you see that and you're like, oh, wow, it's sort of, but they're fading lines. And by doing that,
Right.
I actually got that idea from looking at your door back there. Because
Okay, yeah, that's what I did. It was slightly thicker. I mean, it was slightly more defined, but then I used a textured brush to just rub the rest of it out.
yeah, and exactly. And just having that on the ceiling, it just sort of anchors a little bit back there. And I think it brings the whole thing, Bye, Sophia. Sorry, guys, we went late. Yeah, it just sort of brings the whole thing together. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, good piece, dude. It's great.
Thank
I
you.
love it. I hope you're proud.
Awesome. I'm glad.
It's again, it's such a great read, and you really came out with a very clever idea. And again, to me, this is that benefit of like, that's why I always talk about when you learn environments and you know them down pat. Characters can be pretty easy to do, but then you start putting them together in this whole world, and you and a lot of other people in this class have that ability to do multiple things, and that's the one thing I've always tried to. My belief system was to train you guys on is if you can draw props and you can draw environments and you can stage and illustrate, and then if you don't learn a little bit of 3D, that makes you extremely valuable to productions. So
Yeah.
good job. Okay,
Thank you.
very nice. All right, my pleasure. All right, it's fantastic.
If you wouldn't mind, I might still send you like maybe some like color studies, because like I found that throughout my process I should, and I know I should have created color studies, but I was still figuring stuff out. But I
That's
just
okay.
want to like come up with sort of different like color schemes, and maybe you could give me your opinion on which one would probably suit, you know, the image best, because like I do want to sort of like possibly make it a portfolio piece, but I didn't really approach it in a very kind of like formulated
I'd be
manner.
more than
Yeah.
happy. I don't know what
Cool.
happened to Will's piece. I lost Will's piece in there. Sorry, Will. I had selected them and I thought yours were selected, but I didn't see him in there. So let
It's
me
okay. I was like fully prepared to just go, they ran out of time for me.
no, not
And
at all.
me
I
alone.
wouldn't do that to you. I saw him in there, but when I grabbed all these, for some reason, I don't know what happened. Was it a selection or whatnot? But yeah, anytime you guys need to send me something, send it to me during the week, and I'll make comments on it, because I get to school early and I'm usually doing check email or I'm sketching or something, you know.
Okay.
All right, Will. Okay. That's a whole lot better, Will. Right?
Thank you. Yes.
Couple suggestions.
Okay.
That's pure white. Don't do pure white, do like a 20 gray.
Okay.
The reason why, because then when you go to do highlights on objects or corners, then it's going to battle the pure white coming through.
All right.
So second suggestion, get a gradient. When you have light that's radial light inside the scene like that, which is the sun, you're going to have gradients coming off, which means it's going to be darker here and then lightly fade out. Get the gradient should start at about the same value of the back of her pant. And then it'll start to fade itself as it comes closer to us. It's losing its power as it's casting. Okay.
All right.
And I think that's it for now. If you get that done, then take that and then do a couple color versions, and we'll see what they're looking at. But I'm going to give you that same deal, that if you're not comfortable going into color, if you do the value, I will support it. Okay.
Okay. I really want to get it into color because I know I can do it. It's just like
good.
I just had like really hard time with this project.
I know, and you're doing good. You're caught up now, and you're there. But I don't want you to feel that pressure of, oh, I'm behind, oh, I'm behind. Another option is you finish the tone, you show me some color ideas, we pick one, and then you leave this and go back to it in spring break. And then start working on the second project so you don't fall behind on that one, Will. Because I don't want you to fall behind on the second one. That's why next class I want to start drawing for you guys a little bit. Okay?
Okay.
Makes sense? Good job, Will. It's a good piece.
Thank you.
Okay, nice work. All right. I think I got Ed. Did I skip anybody? Everyone's okay? I'm so wired right now. You guys are doing a great job. I'm really proud of everyone. Everyone's doing great work. Everyone's, you know, there's lots of stylization in the class. You guys just keep it up. Everyone be confident. Keep working on your stuff. It's really great to see you guys all coming along and really producing really great stuff. And I know for some of you, 4 to 5 weeks is a little tight on, but you know what? If you stay with it, trust me, you'll get faster, you'll get more adaptive in it, and you'll be able to like really get through. In fact, the comment I was going to give, if you sketch fast and work out the tone solution fast, that will usually prep you to going into color a lot quicker, because that tends to be the time is the designing. So gather good reference, and when we come back, I'll get to draw for you guys a little bit. Okay. So good job, everybody. Really proud of y'all. Keep it up. I need to take roll super quick. I pretty much know who's here. 1 second. This is such a fun class. I don't even take a break. We just go straight through it. Because there's everything, everyone's killing it, you know. All right, I have.
Yeah, that went by quick.
I mean, it does. I can't believe I'm like, oh my God, it's 10 o'clock. Like last semester, we're doing, this class only goes 7 to 9:30 because it's a dark class. The other ones were going later, you know, and we're just boom. and maybe it's me. It's easy for me to get caught up into something. I love to get to work on your guys' stuff. So you guys are all doing a great job. So thank you. Ryan's here, Sophia. Was Janet here today? Yeah, I saw Janet earlier. I believe Janet was here. Mark's here. Itzel's here. Viviana's here. Charles, Grace, Locke, Nick is here. My pleasure, Kelsey. Thanks for uploading that brush. I can't wait to check it out and mess with it. I'm working on some water buffaloes right now. I've been sketching in the morning, so I'm going to go in and start rendering them out a little bit. And I wanted to try your brush on them and the other brushes too. It'll be fun.
You're still drawing the water buffaloes?
Dude, I started and then I got busy with school stuff and I never got to finish them. And I was having so much fun. I did one page. Now I'm getting looser and I'm doing a second page. Then I want to do a third page of them. And then I got burnt out for a minute, so I went and did another page of grandmas. So I got one page of grandmas to put up, and then I'm going to go back, and then I get to draw more people. I have a swim meet next week, and then a couple others. We have swim season starting up again, so I'm going to be busy. But then this weekend I volunteer. It'll be fun. I'll be at a swim meet the whole weekend. I volunteer and do the grill. So when the grill dies down, I get to sit and sketch all the people coming around it. So that'll be fun. All right, got Megan, got Will, got Raphael, Ashley, James, Claire, Jerry. Okay. You guys are all free to go. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. I might not get this video up until Wednesday. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Do you think anyone needs it? I'll try. It's going to take an hour to render. I'll do it. And I'll just go to bed late tonight and I'll get up late, going to school a little bit later. Take care, everyone. Good job.
Hey,
Keep up
Phil?
the good work.
Thanks, Phil.
Could you, what is it? Can I meet with you sometime when you're free?
Sure.
Thanks,
my
Phil.
pleasure. Say again?
Can I meet with you sometime when you're free?
Yeah. Do you want to, can we talk real quick after class?
Oh, if you have the time for it, that's fine with
Yeah,
me.
I got a minute. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me stop the recorder. Tell you what. Let me log off. I'm going to log back in so I can get the video rendering. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I'll be right back.
See ya.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right,